Hey everyone, and happy Halloween! I'm Margaret, and I'm an instructor here at CodeWizardsHQ. Today I'm going to walk you guys through our Scratch tutorial on creating your very own Halloween candy collector game. If you want to follow along and build your own game, just check out the links in the blog article and some of those starter files below. All right, so just in time for trick-or-treating. Let's go ahead and get started.
All right, guys, to get started, all you need is a Scratch account, which is free at scratch.mit.edu. And if you want to use the same images and backgrounds that we used for our project, you can download those starter files on the blog. The link is going to be inside the description. All right, so now that we're at scratch.mit.edu, let's go ahead and sign in first. So on the right, we've got this sign in button. And once we sign in, up on the top left, you can see this Create button. Let's click on that to create a brand new project. And here you're going to see the Scratch user interface. So let me give you a quick tour. On the left-hand side, we've got our code blocks that do all kinds of different things. And we're going to drag these blocks into this middle section. This middle section is actually going to be our program, all right? Our code for our game, our app, whatever we're creating. On the bottom right, we've got a section for our sprites and our characters, and then our backdrops. Here where we see this Scratch cat, this is actually going to be a preview section of our game or whatever it is that you're building. Let's go ahead and give our project a name where we see up top this Untitled 2. If you click on that, let's call this Candy Collector. And last but not least, we're going to save our new game. All right, so over here on the right, let's click Save Now. All right, step 2, we're going to upload our background and our character images. Now, if you don't want to use this cat sprite in your project, you can click on this cat sprite here, and then up on the top right, this little trash can, let's click on that, and boom, cat sprite gone. Now let's add the backgrounds and our sprites from the starter files. So over here, you're going to see this little landscape. If you hover over it, you can either choose a backdrop, paint your own backdrop, get a surprise backdrop, or what we're going to do is upload our own backdrop. So click on Upload Backdrop. And you want to upload for your background all of these .jpg images, all right? So all of these are going to be our different backdrops, our different places that we're collecting candy from. Now, in order to get your sprites or your characters, click on the little cat face. If you hover over this, you can either choose a sprite, paint, surprise again, or what we're going to do, which is upload our sprite. So click on that. And here we're going to get all of the .png images. And once you add those, you should be able to see your different sprites down here in the sprite preview area. And as you can see in our game preview area, we see some really big versions of these sprites. All right, so now we've got our background and our sprite images and characters, but these are way too big. So step 3, let's go ahead and change the size of our characters. So let's start with Boo. Click on your Boo sprite, and above it, you're going to see this size section. If you click on this 100, we can edit that section, and let's change Boo to a size of 30. Oh, so you got much smaller. Now for our candy, let's click on Candy, and let's change the size to 10. Of course, you guys can make these whatever size you want. Now let's click on our Game Over sprite, and let's make this one a little bit bigger. We'll make this one 70. Now, this Game Over sprite, if we want to put it right in the middle of the page, or if you want to have it on the top or the bottom, we can go ahead and click on it in our preview area and drag it to move it around. You can do this with all of your sprites. So I'm going to move my Game Over right into the center here. And now we've got everything positioned and sized the way we want it. All right, now we've moved this game over to the center, but we don't really want to see this sprite until the game is actually over. So let's do step number 4, hiding the game over sprite. So in order to put code on any of our sprites, we're going to click on them in this sprite area. So now I'm on my game over sprite. You'll also see kind of a little preview in our actual program code as to what sprite we're on right now, what sprite we're adding code to. So get to your Game Over sprite and let's start adding some code. On the left-hand side, we've got different sections of blocks here. So let's go to this Events section, and this is a pretty important block that we're using here. We're going to grab this When Green Flag Clicked block, and this means that when we click on this green flag over here, it's going to start our game or start some code that we're going to put in. So because we don't want to see this game over sprite until later, we're going to hide it. And that's going to be inside of our looks category, this purple looks category. Let's click on that. And if you scroll down, you're going to see this block that says hide. Let's click on that and drag that underneath our when green flag is clicked. Now, when we click on our green flag, ta-da, game over is hidden. Okay, now step 5, let's get our ghost moving. So if we want to add some code to our ghost sprite, let's go ahead and click on that sprite. And we're going to start again with that when green flag is clicked. So in your yellow events, click on this when green flag is clicked, drag it over to the code. You can see here we're working on our Boo sprite, our ghost sprite. Now, when the green flag is clicked, I want our ghost to always go to where my mouse is. So in order to do that, we're going to use under this orange control section, this forever block. And this is what we call a loop, meaning that it continues to run this code forever, all right? So it's a big loop of all the code we're going to put inside here. And what do we want it to do forever? If we go to this blue motion blocks, we want it to follow our mouse around. So we're going to use this go to, and it's going to say go to random position, but we're going to go ahead and click on that and change it to our mouse pointer. So go to, and then click down to choose mouse pointer. Now, let's click on our green flag to see how this is working. We can see now that Boo, our ghost sprite, is following our mouse around. Now let's work on our candy and making it appear and disappear when Boo collects it. All right, so in order to do that, we're going to click on our candy sprite here. And then we're going to start off with 2 of the same blocks we just used. Under our events category, let's go ahead and use our when green flag is clicked to get things started. And then under our control blocks, we're going to use that forever loop. Because we want our candy to disappear only when Boo touches it, we're also going to use what's called a conditional. And it's going to be this if-then block in our controls category. So let's drag that inside of our forever loop. And for this diamond section, our condition is going to be that if we're touching Boo, then we're going to disappear and reappear. So go to your turquoise sensing category here, and we're going to say touching mouse pointer and put that inside of that little diamond section, except instead of mouse pointer, let's click this down. You've got some options for your other sprites here. So let's click down to Boo. So if our candy is touching Boo, let's go to our purple looks category and scroll down to either hide or show our candy. So first, we're going to hide it when Boo collects it. Later, we're going to show that block again. Now, in order to put the wait, let's use our orange controls. So wait block, instead of 1 second, let's do 0.5, and we're going to drag that in between our hide and show blocks. So wait 0.5 seconds, and then just like we had Boo go to our mouse pointer, we're going to use these blue motion blocks to make our candy go to a random position. So go to and a random position. All right, so now every time Boo is touching our candy's going to hide, wait 0.5 seconds, and then go to a new position and reveal itself. One little thing that we want to add is that just in case our candy gets hidden when we end our game, we want to also add one more show at the very start, right underneath our when green flag is clicked, so that when we start our game, we're always able to see our candy. Now let's try this out. So click on your green flag. Boo's following us, he's eating the candy, and the candy is popping up in different positions every time. How cool is that? Very nice, guys. Great job. All right, looking good so far, guys. So step number 7, let's go ahead and add a 30-second time constraint. We've got 5 backgrounds. We're going to show them each for 6 seconds, totaling 30 seconds. So go to the bottom right and let's click on our backdrop to add some code to it. And yes, we're going to use our events and that when green flag is clicked block again to start our code. All right, and here, what we want to do is we want to actually repeat switching the backdrop every 6 seconds, but we're going to do it 5 times. So if you go to controls, we've got our repeat block, and we're going to repeat 5 times. And we got our wait block. So we're going to put that inside of your repeat block, and we're going to wait 6 seconds. And what do we want to do after 6 seconds? We're going to show the next backdrop. So let's go to our looks category and grab this next backdrop and put it underneath your wait block. Now, if you also want to choose what you're going to see as the first backdrop, you can click on this switch backdrop and drag it underneath your when green flag is clicked so that you can choose what backdrop you want to see first. And you can already see my code working here. If you want to test yours out, go ahead and click on that green flag to see if it's working. Now on our game over sprite, our game over sprite is going to receive that message, and then it's going to show up when it gets that message. So let's go ahead and click on our game over sprite. And this time we're going to go to our events section and select this when I receive. So when it gets that message, so when I receive this message, stop. And if it doesn't say stop, go ahead and click on that down arrow and select stop. After it receives that message, that's when it's going to show up. All right. So let's go over to our looks category. And towards the bottom, we're going to use our show block. All right, so now our backdrop is sending a message once time is up, and our game over is receiving that message, and it'll pop up when time is up. Now that our backdrop is sending out a message, we want our game over sprite to receive that message and show up once the time is up. So let's click on our game over sprite. And instead of starting with when green flag is clicked, let's go to our events, and we're going to start with this when I receive. So when I receive this message, stop, we're going to go over to our looks, and we're actually going to show this game over sprite. We want to see it pop up. And then we're also going to stop all of the other code from running. This is the very end of the game. So then we're going to click on stop all. All right, guys. Now, last but not least, step 9, we're going to be adding a score to our game, because what's the point of a game if we don't have a score to brag about, right? So let's go ahead and let's think about when we want to increase our score, right? Every time Boo collects a candy or runs into a candy, we want to increase our score. So let's click on our candy sprite here. And let's add on to our code for our candy sprite. And because our score is something that's changing, we're going to have to create a variable. So go on over to the left here and click on this variable, orange variable category. And we want to make our own variable. So up top, make a variable. Let's call this score. Press OK. And you should see this score variable pop up in that section. And if you check it off, make sure this little box is checked off, you should see a score pop up on your screen in your game as well. All right, so now what are we going to do with this score variable? First, we want to set our score to 0 when we start our game. So let's grab this set my variable to 0, and let's put it underneath our when green flag is clicked. All right, but instead of my variable, let's click on the down arrow and let's show our score variable. So when our green flag is clicked when we start our game, the score is set to 0. Now, every time that Boo is touching our candy, we want to increase the score. So we have a section here for if our candy is touching Boo. So let's grab this change my variable from our variable section. And let's put this underneath our hide here. So hide and then change, not my variable, but we're going to change our score by 1. And you could change it by 2, 3, 4, 5, however many points you want to give yourself. All right, so now if we click on our green flag, we should see everything working together. When I collect a candy, my score is increasing, and we see that my background is also changing, right? So it looks like everything's working really well. You guys are probably going to be a lot better than I am at this game, but let's just make sure our game over is working as well when we get to that 30-second mark. All right, so one last scene here. Let's see if I can get a couple more candies. Oh, and there we go. There's my game over with my last scene. And I only got a score of 28. You guys see if you can beat me on this or not. All right. And that's our entire game. So great job, guys. I'm super excited to see all the cool games that you came up with. All right, guys. And with that, you completed your Halloween candy collector game. Give yourselves a round of applause. Really, really good. I'm so impressed with all of you guys. So if you want to see my completed game as well as the written instructions, check out the blog that's linked in the description. And if you want extra personal help from me and some of the other instructors at CodeWizardsHQ, you can join our CodeWizardsHQ Facebook group. I'm also going to have some fun bonuses there, so you're going to be able to add some sound as well as move Boo using your up, down, right, and left arrows. So join our group if you want those extra activities. And I hope you guys have a really fun and safe, happy holidays. Bye, guys.